the Studio Cuts podcast with WRRV.
Welcome to the WRRV Studio Cuts podcast. It's Val, and I had the chance to sit down with none other than Jack Antonoff of Bleachers. We talked the new album that just came out Friday the 30th, Take the Sadness Out of Saturday Night. We talked about the upcoming tour. I gushed a little bit because that's what I do best. Let's take a listen. Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good.
It's wonderful to talk to you. What an honor.
Nice to talk to you.
Awesome. My name is Val. I host the midday show at WRV out of Poughkeepsie, New York.
I love Poughkeepsie. The Chance.
You do?
We have to play at the Chance all the time.
You know, obviously with things COVID, we haven't been to the Chance in forever, but what a cool little venue.
The best. I'm from, I'm only from like an hour away.
Yeah. Are you in Jersey now?
No, I'm in New York right now. Okay.
And I mean, we're getting the opportunity to talk to you the night before the album release. Is it nerves? Is it excitement? What is it?
It's like this frozen state of like it's out there, and I've done the thing, and how I sort of it's like you've had like a 3-year conversation with yourself, and then you share the entire transcript.
That's so cool. I mean, I was speaking earlier with someone. I was like, I'm getting the opportunity to sit down and talk with him. Like, it's hard to formulate questions about like the process of putting this album together, especially during this like wacky time. But your music is so intentional, and your music hits people so hard and so like tugs on the heartstrings there. So what was the process like with this particular album?
You're always trying to tell a story that's kind of living pretty deep inside you, and is a little bit scary and frustrating. Like, you write about the things that are hard to make sense of. The things are quite boring to write about. So if you're kind of coming at it from that process, then it makes it pretty impossible to do anything that isn't hyper personal. I don't write that much. This album is 10 songs. It's been more than 3 years since my last album. It's very rare that you land on something and understand it as an album, as your entire body of work. And I did with this, which is why I released it. But it's a pretty hyper intense place.
I can imagine. Is there a favorite song on the album so far that you're excited for us to get to listen to?
There's a song called Don't Go Dark, which is in many ways sort of like I call it the angriest song I've ever written. And it's not I love you, it's not I hate you, it's this place sort of in between where you just really need to be released from someone. And it was a really uncomfortable feeling for me to have, which is why I wanted to write it. And it's just a big piece of the album, this like wanting to move on and wanting to be released. Okay.
And what was it like? I know you probably get this with every interview, but working with Bruce Springsteen?
Just an absolute dream. I mean, he's so influential to my music. The first artist I heard that made me kind of recognize the place I was from as having this bigger emotional value within music and the sound of it. So to have him on the album is extremely beautiful and amazing to me.
Did you get nervous working with him, or is it like you're at that point in your career where you're like, I got this?
No, it's not nervous. It's not ego. It's kind of somewhere else, because you're chipping it away from such a vulnerable place when you're working with people, when you're recording or writing or doing anything, that it almost feels like you're just a part of something with someone when you collaborate, and you're both reaching for something, and that kind of like almost in service of something bigger. So it takes the place of nerves.
Okay. Now you collaborate with your list of collaborations is just incredible. To look at the list of people that you've worked with, is there anybody that's on your like, I must work with this person list, or anyone that you are like, I wonder what it would be like to work with this particular artist?
It's a really interesting question, because the answer is no. And the reason why the answer is no is because, working with someone, sort of the magic of it is finding out where they want to go, where they haven't been. So if I don't know someone, I can't know where they want to go. So even if I hear something that I love, I don't think to myself, well, I want to work with them. I think, oh, that's great, but they did it. I don't know where they're going. So it's very hard for me to contextualize or answer.
Yeah, I don't know, just to sit down and look at your history and all of the work that you've done with all of these people. I don't think I realized how many people you've collaborated with. It's just incredible.
I don't leave the studio terribly often. I kind of just stay there.
It seems like it.
It's a place where I can really make sense of a lot of stranger things in life. So I find myself not wanting to move.
It has to be therapeutic, though.
Yeah, I see it more as just sort of like a way of life, like a language. And it's it's a lens in which I view the world. It's how I communicate with people. So yeah, definitely therapeutic, but almost even more than that, more just like the way I live. It's kind of how I function.
And is there do you prefer solo work, or do you prefer, like, obviously you've been involved with a number of different bands. Like, was it hard to transition from working with, a group to solo stuff, or vice versa?
Yeah, I prefer to be solo and then have a band.
Okay.
I don't like to be in a band in a democratic sense. It's, I really need to, very, very frustrating and anxious for me to feel like I couldn't get my ideas that I really saw, and that you have to deal with opinions and people's baggage and all this stuff. It's a pretty straightforward road of what I want to do. And I love collaborating and I love drawing on people for help and inspiration, but I don't really like being in a position where I can't follow that feeling.
Sure. And the way that you work it with your tours, your band kind of rotates, or there's a number of different people that comes in and out when you hit the road?
There's a core band that's been on the road with me for a long time. I like to bring people in here and there to mix it up. We just brought in 2 extra musicians when we played on TV last week, but there's a core band that are on the records and the fans know them and they're there. So, it doesn't have to be as black and white as solo artist or band. Like,
right.
I kind of live in that middle space of, it's me, but then this band, which I lead, but also they have a lot of space to define what they do, and there's a big culture to that.
Okay. And what was the last big show that you played live in front of a real audience? December
2019. I did 3 shows in California. For no other reason, I remember calling the people I work with them, and I was like, I've been in the studio. I just need to go out and play and feel that. And it was so random, and I rarely do that. It's it's much more usually you tour for a reason or you're behind something. I just did these 3 shows in California, and they were magical. And I thought, all right, I'm gonna go home and work on this album, plan a tour. Cut to September 2021 will be my next, almost 2 years later.
Wow! And that was the I love making this album kind of 3-show tour.
Yeah, appropriately titled. Yeah, but I'm losing my mind.
I mean, and you had no idea what was to come when we were really losing our minds.
Jesus, yeah. How simple I must have seemed.
But I mean, did it put you in the mindset to really say okay, I got these 3 shows out, and now I have no other option but to write and but to produce this new album?
I just wanted to be in contact with my audience and kind of feel that for a second and bring that energy back in the studio. There's lots of things you do. You move this room, you move that room, you go play some shows, you do this, and anything that just kind of shocks the system so you can keep chipping away and keep finding the strength you need to stay on the track that you set out for yourself making an album. It's a very intense process. So if you feel like going to play, you should go play. If you feel like going to get dinner, you should go get dinner. It's not something you just sort of drill down and say, all right, I'm going to finish this album. It kind of tells you what to do, and you have to be at peace with that.
Is there anything I've been trying to ask anybody we've talked to, coming out of this post-COVID world, is there anything your listeners and your fans would be surprised to know that you learned or picked up during this whole quarantine lockdown world?
I didn't pick up much, because a lot of my life is, a bit of quarantine anyway, because I'm kind of alone in the room writing.
Sure.
So a lot of my days were spent there. And by the time I was done, I'd be hungry and ready to sit on the couch and do nothing. So I just, my life changed massively, and obviously all the concern and fear and on a number of different levels. But in terms of what my body was doing, it makes sense to me to wake up and go into the studio in my apartment and work, and then come out and go to bed, and I can do that for a pretty long time.
Okay. And so now that you're getting ready to hit the road and support the album with the tour, are you nervous to get back on the road, or you're ready?
A combination. It's also such a new landscape. It's like going to like a new high school or something. You're like, what's it going to be like? What's it going to feel like? I'm obviously, things are changing so rapidly. I'm also nervous from the perspective of, I just want to get to it and feel it. Cause it's really bizarre.
It has to be. And what can fans expect with this tour? Anything like, I know you don't want to let out all your secrets.
No, I see it. Well, just from an emotional perspective, I see it like that, that metaphor about like the gas tank, and you have that secret 20 miles after empty. I always thought live was everything. Couldn't get any more emotional, couldn't get any better, but somehow it will, now that we've had a taste of what it's like to not have it.
Right. And I think that's what so many people who live for live music are just ready to get out there and absorb it, and it'll fuel them. I know for us, it's been so hard to work in this industry and play all of these artists and say like, we'll let you know when they're touring, or like,
yeah, totally.
It's when we get them.
It's bizarre. And I always thought touring is a very sturdy, non-fragile thing, which sounds hilarious now, but that's what I thought. Was everything else is fragile except touring. And it's obviously the biggest one we're all learning, just this concept of what you can hold and what you can't. And, at best, try to not view it all in a dark way and kind of live with what you got. And if you get to go to a show and it's comfortable and safe, then play it or be there like it's the last show of your life.
Yeah, I guess it's a good way to look at it. I know you're on the bill for Governor's Ball. Is there anyone that you're like, is on your must-have list, or like your dream bucket list to tour with or be on a bill with?
I get pretty excited. Well, it's usually friends, because, like when collaborators and stuff, I'm always sort of like locked in a studio with them. But, when you see your friends on a bill in a festival, you actually, we could eat together. We could watch some bands together, actually like kind of hang out like normal people or something. So, there's tons of music I always want to see, but usually I'm looking for any friends I got out there.
Now, when you're on like a big bill like that, do you actually get to watch a lot of the show?
Yeah, if you want. So it depends how much time you want to be tired and go home, or if you want to really, you got a pass, you can drift around and go to all the stages and see what's going on. I end up seeing a lot of music that way.
That's awesome. I know your festival that you created was just one stage.
It was one stage, yeah. Because I don't like, I never wanted to have like a big festival. I always wanted just to have it's like more like a block party in New Jersey. And so the idea was to make sure that like everyone could just see everything going on and experience everything. And that would be that. Nobody
had to make any choices or decide where they were headed. You're just inspirational. And I think you really just hit home for so many people and give
that's nice to say.
Fans of music. But it's true. It's anything you read or anytime you bring up your name, it's just like, wow, like what an inspiration, and what, tug on the heartstrings, and just like, it's real. It's real music, and somebody who understands the industry and what music means to people. So it's just so cool to follow.
I'll hold those words, Val, when I'm low.
Stop.
Ring in my head, for real.
It really is. It means a lot, and your music means a lot to people, and the music that you have produced and helped to work. I mean, we just started spinning the new Claro track.
Oh, I love that song.
Oh my God. It's just, I was like, wait a minute, he worked on that one too?
I loved making that record. We went up to a mountain and made that album, like kind of peaked. Had to get away from COVID, and that song is so special. It's very like, you don't realize how complicated and weird the changes are in that song. They're real interesting.
Yeah, and what talent too.
Brilliant.
Love her. I guess I know I have like a minute left. I wanted to ask about working with Lorde on the new Solar Power album. She's
really one of the true magnificent friends and collaborations of my lifetime. So, won't say too much about that because it's all about to come and the album will reveal everything, but just some of the most special work that I've ever been a part of.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for playing all these records. That really means a lot to us.
It's so cool to be able to say, like, wait, I know that one and I know that one, and wait, he's involved with that one too. It's just, you're inspirational, and we're really excited for the new album.
All right, Val, you're the new voice in my head when I feel like crap. Telling you.
Sometimes this job is hard, and this is one of those moments where it's like real, like, holy cow. My career has come to this.
You're being very sweet to me. I really appreciate you.
We appreciate you. Your music means a lot to a lot of people, myself included. So like I said, it truly is an honor.
Thanks so much.
And good luck with the album. And
all right, big day, yeah.
To come to New York. I know, the night before. It's like Christmas Eve.
I know, it's wild.
All right.
All right, take care, Val.
Pleasure.
Nice to talk to you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Studio Cuts podcast. And once again, a huge thank you to Jack Antonoff for taking the time to sit down and talk with me for the WRV Studio Cuts podcast. Don't forget about our new music show every Sunday night at 10 p.m. Thanks to Dark Side Records. It's called Sunday Studio Cuts. See you next time.
The Studio Cuts podcast with WRRV.